Welcome everybody to No Problems, Only Possibilities. We're up to show number 9, and just to give you some information, I think next week's show will be the last one before Christmas, and we might have a couple of weeks break. So today's show is all about priorities. Priorities. What is your priority? Not your purpose. It's not your purpose. How many of you have been trying to look for your purpose all your life? And how many of you have been putting off your soul's purpose? Because if you actually ever found it, you wouldn't have to live anymore, and you'd have to kill yourself because now you found that there's nothing left to do. So this is one of the things when we have a look at the metaphysics of things and how we twist it and create conclusions in our lives and our realities. I've met so many people, including myself, that had been searching all their lives for their purpose, searching all their life for what their capacities are, and never being able to actually clearly define it, and in so doing come to the conclusion that they're a worthless pile of poo. How many of you have been doing that and still perpetrating that on yourself, even though you may walk around with a smile on your face? Deep down there's this like, why am I here? And everything that is, everywhere where you have ever been questioning that from a Nazi point of view, that is looking at it to make you wrong, so that you never actually step into your greatness, your capacities, your what it is that you would like to create. Everything that is, would you now be willing to bring it right up in front of you and stare it down? And then let's clear it. Destroy and uncreate it, or good, bad, right, wrong, pop, popcorn, iron, short boys, and beyonds. And that's the access clearing statement. We do have a lot of new people on this channel or on this show, and if you want to find out more about that, it's at www.theclearingstatement.com. So, priorities. Now, hopefully, most of you would have read the post that I had recently on priorities. If you haven't, go onto my Facebook page, Liam Phillips, and scroll down. It's not far down, and read that, because it is a really good example of looking at your priorities. And I'll just give you a brief run over of that particular article. So I was in the sky, flying, as you know, because I'm an infinite being. I can do that. Of course, you guys can't, but I can. I was in an airplane. Yeah, okay. Forgot. So we're in an airplane, and it starts to get a little bouncy, and all of a sudden the plane banks and starts to dive down quite dynamically, or dramatically would probably be a better word. And the captain comes over and says, please brace for an emergency landing. I was going to say impact, because that, it sounds so dramatic, but it was please brace for an emergency landing. And then we were taken through all the steps for an emergency landing, blah, 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 blah. And as we're coming into the runway, there's a fleet of fire engines and ambulances. And of course, everybody on the plane is like, they're on the text going, I miss you, my love, and blah, blah, blah. And in that 10 seconds, I was so grateful for these tools, because I recognized, because that was going on in my own head and my body too, and I recognized that was me picking up everybody else's panic. Now, one of the gifts that you can be is when you recognize that all of that mush that's going on in your head or in your body as feelings, when you recognize it as not being yours, that one person can create a huge change. And so I started to relax into who I be, and I started to invite the nature spirits in to give us a nice clean landing, and the beings of light. And I started pocking, that is using the clearing statement and returning to sender all of those thoughts, feelings and emotions. And just before we were landing, I'm going, well, all of these people right now are looking at their lives. And they're questioning their life. Have I finished this? Who do I need to talk to? What do I have to say? Who can I tell that I love? What am I going to do with that money? Did I pay the insurance bill so my kids can get the money if I do die in this plane crash? All of these sorts of things were coming up, and I was looking at, what the hell is my priority? What am I here for? What would I like to create whilst I'm here? And one of those things that came up was happiness. And it was like, wow, that's my priority. It's happiness. And it's sort of like, wow. And it was just so clear. And then about a week later, I actually chose it. And in the choosing, what was really interesting was all of those things that have prevented me from choosing that as my priority, as the way that I would like to be on this planet, came to the surface. I got really, really sick. I didn't want to live anymore. All the demons started bubbling up to the surface. All of the poor, pitiful me came and hit me in the face. And I was with a couple of Access friends, Andrew and Eri, and they took me by the hand and were just such an incredible space, and never bought any of my story as real, because all the stories started to come up. And then I talked to Gary Douglas very briefly on a text message, and then I chose to do the 7-day event in Costa Rica. And what I realized, that we have so many agendas to keep our priorities out of reach for ourselves. So for me, it was unhappiness. And I realized that I had an agenda of some description to always have unhappiness as part of my life. And it was like a back door. I'd never really committed to my life. And so all of the agendas that you have to keep your back door open so that you can always escape from you, because you have decided you are the most evil person on the planet. Would you now be willing to give that all up to Jesus, to Buddha, to Ganesh, or to the flowers, or whoever will take it, and destroy and uncreate it all? Thank you. Good and bad, right, wrong, pop, popcorn, iron, shop boys, and beyonds. The thing is, unless you're really willing to close that back door for good and actually choose you and be committed to you, then what will happen is that you will always have this place where you can run away to. And it's like, for me, I'm a teacher. I was trained as a primary school teacher, and then later I did more study in special education. And so I taught for 7, 8 years, 9 years in the education system. And, like, we're talking 20 years ago now. And ever since then, I've always been paying my teacher's registration. It's always been there as a back door. If I don't make it as an access facilitator, I can always go back to teaching. And it's like, teacher's registration is due this week. And it's like, wow, am I going to choose it? Am I going to choose it from that point of view of having a back door? So, and what does that create in my life? If I choose it from, if I fail as being an access facilitator, I can always go back to teaching. If I choose it from that point of view, what am I going to create with my business as an access facilitator? Am I going to create it as a big multi-million-dollar business, or at least a business because I'm not really interested in a multi-million-dollar business. I am having too much fun riding my bike and traveling the world and all of that sort of stuff. And to do it like Gary and Dane is not what is true for me. I would like something different. So be aware yourself of where you are buying other people's points of view. Like you may see a facilitator or somebody on the planet and you go like, I'd like that as well. But is it really true? Is it true for you that that's what you truly like? You know, maybe you just like business that is between 100 and 500K a year. That way it would give you the money that would allow you to do what you want whenever you want it, and basically how you would like it. So if you have that back door of with the teacher's registration, and you try to create your reality, your life with that back door still open, how are you going to create what is you'd like as your future? It keeps putting that further and further and further away. So everywhere where you have made it a priority to keep your back door open so you can escape from the failure that you're already projecting into your future reality, holy moly, there's got to be a bit of energy on that one. Would you now be willing to destroy and uncreate all of that? Good and bad, right, wrong, pop, popcorn, ice, short boys, and beyonds. I don't think I can repeat that. If anybody got that, can you send it to me? Because it's like, it's running on me. Damn. Oh my God, I can't do the show any longer. My brain has gotten to mush. Yeah. Cool. So I was talking to someone this morning and we were talking about receiving and how their brains were just going to mush. There was just so much space and play from how many of us have brought the point of view that if we were truly being us, we would just be a big mushy puddle, and hence come to the conclusion that we would never be able to function. God, I love my shirt. I would never be able to function in this reality. Anywhere where you have done that, will you now destroy and uncreate it all? Good and bad, right, wrong, pop, popcorn, ice, short boys. When you're actually that you know, like that big marshmallow man, you know, like in that, what was that movie called? Ghostbusters, you know, and the big marshmallow man comes at the end, you know. It wasn't because he was big, it was because he was soft. Yeah. And what if you were that big marshmallow man and all of the problems and everybody's points of view and all of their judgments, and you got to do this, you got to be this, you got to have this, you got to have priorities, all of that just went, and then you just would choose for you. You wouldn't have to go into the resistance and the reaction of choosing against others, or the alignment and agreement that you're a pile of poo that everybody's projecting at you. So everything that is, will you now destroy and uncreate it all? Good and bad, right, wrong, pop, popcorn, ice, short boys, and beyonds. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm getting to with the priorities is please don't make yourself wrong if you can't articulate your priority. Gary was talking about priorities are actually more like 10-second increment things. They're light, they can change. There's no heaviness or density or solidity to them. If there's a heaviness or a solidity to it, or it is really, really highly defined, then that becomes an agenda. And so what occurs is when it's an agenda, then you're always being forced into things that you possibly don't want to create. When you're functioning from priorities, it's then you're always functioning from that 10 seconds of increment where you always have choice. So for me to say happiness is a priority, it's not I haven't created it as a solidity. It's there as a lightness. It's there as a guidance. So when that heaviness, that I think many of you probably have that feeling that comes up through your body, and many of you have it specifically in this sort of heart area, because that in this reality is where you feel and all of that sort of stuff. And also you get a sense of it in your head when you have all of these thoughts. And if you're thinking If you're thinking about the past or you're thinking about the future, then you're in your head. You know, you're thinking. If you have got a priority, say like happiness, and is being in your head thinking about the future or the past all the time creating that happiness for you? And is being in that having that feeling here, is that happiness for you? And it's like, I'm not making it wrong. If that is happiness for you and your priority is happiness, you're creating the life that you would like to have. But if you have made your life your priority happiness, and that feeling is not happy for you, then that's an indication that you're not choosing your priority. You're not choosing you. So that's when you can go back to your priority. Fuck this. I'm sorry for swearing, because I promised that I wouldn't swear on this show. So fuck this. And everything that just brought up, if you are watching it, coming now, destroy and uncreate it all. Good, bad, right, wrong, pop, popcorn, no, short, boys, minutes. Fuck this, doesn't work for me. Okay, cool. So what would make me happy here? What choices do I have here? And you always have a choice. So the question to ask each day when you wake up, what's my priority? Then go off and have a lovely day, or a bad day, or whatever day that you choose. And it's in the asking that you shall receive. Like I've been an access facilitator for 12 years. I've been on this planet in this body for 52 years. And it's only been in the last 8 to 10 weeks that I've actually been able to articulate one of my priorities. And it's not right, it's not wrong, but here's the tool for you if you haven't got an idea of what your priority is yet, or a sense of your priority, is just ask that question. What's my priority? What's my priority today? What are my priorities today? And as you start to ask that question, you will start to get awarenesses. Oh my God. Facilitators starts today, so I've got to cut it short. But I just realized I just wanted to go into talking about stuff that will come up at facilitators, and this is like a show that's an introduction to the access tools. So
Liam, can I share an incredible awareness I had the other day?
Sure, I'd love to hear awareness.
So I'm in California, in Ventura County, where there's the Thomas Fire that's going on. And I've been a bars practitioner nearly 2 years, and for some reason I haven't been choosing to have a business, and I've been making myself wrong for that. And and I met up with a friend that I created a service trade for bars for. Got a great haircut that you can't see right now the other day. But as I was at a friend's house in Ventura watching homes and trees burn down Monday evening, I was like, I was wanting to create the business as a monetary exchange, but it's to give back, and the money will come as it needs to. And so I'm looking to create a bars clinic for all the hurting people, because there's 150,000 people who've been evacuated in my community and all around Los Angeles County. And I mean, California's in a blaze, and COP's coming just about 40 miles from here in about 5 weeks.
Cool.
And there was the big fire in Napa up in around where COP, I had a friend message me that goes, "What are you doing that's creating all these fires near the COP?"
Well, I've got to start my bars business somehow.
Right?
Okay, cool. So, yeah, like every day like when you look at that, like what I would like you to do, because we don't have time to facilitate you around this in 10 seconds. But what I'd like you to do is to watch this part yourself over again and see if you can spot any conclusions, or see if you can spot any heavy bits. And when you spot it, don't go to the wrongness of it. Have a celebration. And then I'm not even saying that there are, but if there are, then use the access clearing statement and pod and pock all of that. And that will make it a lot more ease, joy, and glory for you to start off your business. Because when we do have businesses, we have so many conclusions of what it's going to look like, how we're going to receive from it, how we're not going to receive from it. And all of these are the sorts of things that are in place. And this is one of the beauties about having a show like this, is because when I send out a recording, if you've talked on it, you want to watch or listen to the bits that you have said, and then use the tools on the things that you have said. Because that's all I do as an access facilitator, is I listen to what you say. And then if you're willing to lower your barriers and listen to what it is that you'll say, you will pick all the places where you have created a limitation, because our points of view will come out in what we say. That way you get to facilitate yourself. It's one of the beautiful things. And you know what? I would say 75% of you guys would probably not want to listen to the thing that you said in a class or on a show, because you know that if you heard the things that came out of your mouth, you would go fuck, and then you'd have to change it. So how many of you say that you want to change when really you'd rather hold on to your point of view to justify what's actually showing up in your life, rather than going F word this? I'm going to force myself to listen to what I have said and change it, or choose something different.
Yeah.
Now, Jessica, please don't think that I am going, oh man, that was heavy what you just said. I'm not talking from that point of view. It's just that there's the tool, because I haven't got enough time to ask you more questions, because I've literally got to go right now. So each morning, please ask this question if you really want to create more with your priorities and close that back door. Because once you start to actually function from your priorities, then that back door starts to close by itself and will start to vanish. So the question is, what's my priorities? What's my priorities here? Yeah. And if you're with an angry people, because you will get a lot of angry people now in California because their homes have just burnt down, or upset people, what is my priority here? Because if you go into their reality, you're fucked, and you won't be able to give them the bar session that will get them out of all the significance of, oh, I forgot to pay my insurance, and now they've got to start again, and oh my God, my dog died in it, and for some people, maybe, my child died in it, or whatever. And if you buy any of that story as real and don't be the space for that to start to dissipate for them, they will hold on to it, and it will ruin your reality as well. So Thank you so much, Jessica, for putting up your hand and sharing your awareness. Like, this is amazing. Always acknowledge your awareness. Always acknowledge your awareness. Always acknowledge your awareness. And anywhere where you're not willing to acknowledge your awareness, can we now destroy and uncreate all of that?
Yes.
Good and bad, right, wrong, pop, corn eyes, short boys, and beyonds. Okay. Thank you all so much. We'll be on air again next week. I'm not quite sure. Well, I've got facilitators this week. I'm sure something will show up that we can talk about. And if you'd like to share this with anybody, feel free. Stick it in the front of their face if you think that it's going to be something that will assist them. Okay, everybody. See you next week. Don't have any fun.